SCP-3415, Employee of the Month every month. Warning: SCP contains known cognitohazard. Recommendation of info vaccination is recommended. Item number: SCP-3415. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Maintenance Team 3415, consisting of Class C personnel cycled in bi-yearly from a candidate pool, is to be stationed at SCP-3415's containment area. 2 members of Maintenance Team 3415, trained as plainclothes guards, are to maintain a constant presence outside the building. Currently, Maintenance Team 3415 consists of junior researchers E. Judlow, K. Montemayor, A. Lang, and R. Peterson. Additional resources and staff management is to be handled by senior advisory position filled out by a researcher chosen from Site-16. The building containing SCP-3415 is officially registered as condemned. Any unauthorized individual attempting to access these premises are to be apprehended, interrogated, and administered amnestics before released. At Maintenance Team 3415 are to maintain a standard Foundation monitoring post located outside of the cubicle housing SCP-3415. Any discrepancies in idle anomalous activity are to be logged and noted. Entry into the cubicle containing SCP-3415 outside of research sessions must be granted by the current head of Maintenance Team 3415. Time spent within the cubicle must not exceed more than 1 minute at a time due to the risk of unpredictable anomalous behavior. Currently, 34 instances of SCP-3415-1 remain on site in varying storage units in SCP-3415's containment area. Any additional 59 instances are to be transported to Site-16 for research purposes and are to be kept in Storage Locker 18G outside of testing sessions. Description: SCP-3415 is a mind-affecting phenomenon involving the individual known as Jocelyn Blom. Jocelyn Blom's status outside of Cubicle 11I is currently unknown. Attempts to locate her beyond the bonds of SCP-3415 have been difficult due to its effects, and her position as an HR representative for a small, now defunct, accounting firm. SCP-3415 is comprised of numerous anomalous alterations and cognitohazards applied to the space within Cubicle 11I, situated on the second floor of an office building located on the outskirts of Nottingham, England. The effects of SCP-3415 primarily manifest mentally with tenuous visual-audio elements. SCP-3415 can be triggered by an individual in 2 ways: learning of any basic knowledge involving Jocelyn Blom's identity. This includes details such as her full name. Usage of Jocelyn Blom's full name requires the use of her middle name in order for SCP-3415 to manifest. Her place of birth or association with when an individual observes any visible portion of Cubicle 11I. This also extends to any visible portion of Jocelyn Blom at her workplace. When triggered, SCP-3415 will plant specific information regarding Jocelyn Blom into the mind of the affected individual. This information is not memetic in nature and does not override existing knowledge an individual might have involving Jocelyn Blom,
who is busy.
Analysis of the information delivered by SCP-3415 has determined that the anomaly's primary purpose is to convince an individual that Jocelyn Blom
is currently present in her cubicle, is able to complete any work assigned to her before the end of the workday, is due for a promotion soon, will not be disturbed for any reason that does not involve the assignment of unfinished work, is currently not in a different location outside of her cubicle, is responsible for all instances of SCP-3415-1. Will not be punished in any manner if she is found breaking company policy or disobeying authority figures of any kind. Is not responsible for the kidnapping and murder of Charles Henson, a 22 vagrant who was last reported in a local homeless shelter on March 15, 2015. This individual has yet to be located.
Additionally, SCP-3415 implants the belief that an individual known as Lizek Forster is responsible for the kidnapping and murder of Charles Henston. Of note is the information transmitting regarding Lizek Forster might be an error caused by the structure of SCP-3415's anomaly. An employee by the name of Isaac Foster was noted to have worked in Cubicle 11D for a length of time from 2007 to 2000. Lizek Forster is interpreted as a separate individual from Isaac Foster by individuals exposed to SCP-3415's effects and can only be described as the responsible culprit for Charles Heston's murder. Visual observation of SCP-3415 will display the presence of Jocelyn Blom at her workstation in Cubicle 11I. Individuals have been unable to describe exact detail of Jocelyn Blom's appearance and behavior beyond information enforced by SCP-3415. Attempts to capture visual record of Jocelyn Blom have consistently resulted in severe corruption of the produced images. On multiple occasions, individuals have reported having been able to hold conversation with Jocelyn Blom, but were unable to describe the nature, topic, or content of any discussion. Attempts at interviews have led to transcripted logs becoming instances of SCP-3415-1. All transcripted replies from Jocelyn Blom in these logs are replaced by her signature, regardless of context. Attempting to remain within Cubicle 11I for longer than 5 minutes at a time will induce a secondary effect that compels the individuals to immediately exit the space. Affected individuals report mild disorientation upon exiting.
Citing a desire to leave Jocelyn Blom alone during work hours.
Inspection of Cubicle 11I is difficult due to SCP-3415's effect extending to the state of numerous objects located within its space. These items also cannot be retrieved from the original location and are not considered to be instances of SCP-3415-1. Various analytical sessions have determined Cubicle 11I contains the following: a standard office desk with 2 wheeled chairs, no anomalous effects noted. Several personal effects owned by Jocelyn Blom located on her desk. 2 items identified as a white plastic bucket and an X-Acto brand utility knife described as having a soily texture when touched. A Dell monitor and desktop. Attached to the desktop is an external hard drive of unknown make. A keyboard and mouse of unclear make, described as noticeably blurred. Both objects will randomly produce sounds associated with their function, despite lack of input. Multiple discarded boxes of KFC boneless banquet and 5 crushed cans of Tesco brand cider. Located on desk. Contents missing. 114 pounds worth of salt. 180 pounds of unknown material, described as having a soily composition, suspended mid-air.
Opposite of Jocelyn Blom.
A full outfit consisting of winter clothes, described as filthy, suspended mid-air.
Opposite of Jocelyn Blom.
Noted to be overlapping with numerous other materials found within Cubicle 11I. SCP-3415-1 are cognitohazards considered to be the unfinished versions of any item that have been affected by
Jocelyn Blom,
SCP-3415. The majority of SCP-3415-1 instances are documents, files, and forms that are typically handled in an accounting position. Many of these documents contain modifications made by
Jocelyn Blom,
with handwriting that has been confirmed as a 99.7% match. In order for an instance of SCP-3415-1 to be created, a corresponding unfinished item must be placed within Cubicle 11I. If the item is considered unfinished or a work in progress, it will be converted into a SCP-3415 instance after a period of 1 to 6 minutes. Items that do not possess these qualities and are not in direct contact with human skin will disappear after a similar period of time. The conversion of an item into an SCP-3415-1 instance has never been observed. The majority of standard cognitohazard detection routines indicate SCP-3415-1 instances do not objectively exist. Those able to detect them as physical objects detect a number of highly complex cognitohazards covering the visible form of all instances. SCP-3415-1 instances otherwise function exactly like their non-anomalous counterparts.
Jocelyn Blom,
Can also create instances of SCP-3415 with unfinished works that would be considered outside of her area of expertise, as long as it can be considered complete upon conversion. All instances are finished in a manner that would be expected of their associated form. For example, SCP-3415-1-43 is a flower pot containing a single specimen of Ranunculus repens. Prior to introduction to Cubicle 11I, specimen had not yet developed from a seed and thus was considered unfinished. Specimen was converted into its current state by Jocelyn Blom, and to date has not required water or sunlight. Addendum 3415-A Recovery. SCP-3415 was officially discovered by Foundation Assets on April 11, 2014, after numerous reports of Jocelyn Blom being unable to leave her cubicle despite the recent condemnation of the office complex containing SCP-3415. Due to the long-reaching effects of SCP-3415, it has been difficult to determine the original date of the anomaly's manifestation. Interviews with co-workers of Jocelyn Blom report a noticeable decrease in interactions with Jocelyn Blom as a result of her workload from as early as 2009. Addendum 3415-B, March 2nd, 2018. Incident 3415-1A. Please input credentials. Access granted. On January 27, 2018, SCP-3415 displayed previously undocumented behavior. SCP-3415 was seemingly triggered by junior researcher Durham, of recent transfer to the maintenance team 3415. Durham had been tasked with daily documentation of the contents of Cubicle 11I and was struggling to properly identify multiple objects located on Jocelyn Blom's desk. Another member reported hearing Durham engaging in brief conversation with Jocelyn. Upon exiting Cubicle 11I at 1321, Durham was accompanied by two entities resembling young children. At this point, junior researcher Montemayor approached Durham as the other present personnel began to call for additional support. The following is a recorded transcript of Montemayor's interaction with Durham. Toby, what the hell is... She asked me if I needed anything doing. Toby, what happened? Are those... Oh, fuck. Those are your kids. God damn it, she was so helpful. She saved me a ton of grief. Toby, this is Jocelyn we're talking about. She only looks like she's helping. What the hell did she even do? She figured it out, Kat. She knew what to do. She did it quick. I don't think she thought this through, though. Closing statement. Junior researcher Durham surrendered himself into Foundation custody and is currently being held for further screening of cognitohazardous effects. Additional individuals were identified as Durham's children and were promptly contained as an anomalous risk. All 3 individuals have been contained at E-Class Containment Site 04. All documents and files pertaining to the custody battle between Durham and his ex-wife were found to have been modified and completed by Jocelyn Blom at approximately the same time as Durham's departure from Cubicle 11I. Over 70% of these documents exhibit the same effects as SCP-3415-1. 20 minutes after the initial incident, Foundation assets installed in local law enforcement in Melbourne, or in Australia, reported a distressed emergency service call from Durham's ex-wife describing the disappearance of both her children from their residence. Interviews were attempted with both Durham children, resulting in apparent failure. All retrieved transcripts were recovered as SCP-3415-1 instances, with Jocelyn Blom's signature in place of all corresponding text. Furthermore, interviewers were unable to recall any statements made by either Durham child. Additional analysis of Durham children have revealed that both exhibit signs of conversion into SCP-3415-1 instances. Classification of Durham children as SCP-3415-2 is pending.